Leonardo DiCaprio getting called out as a big old climate hypocrite for secretly helping to fund lawsuits against big oil while racking up a huge carbon footprint himself. Fox News getting a hold of emails that show how Leo uses his nonprofit foundation to award grants to a dark money group. That organization then funnels millions to a law firm that sues oil companies. This is the same guy who flies around on gas-guzzling jets and hangs out on super yachts. And remember when Leo reportedly flew 8,000 miles to accept an award for environmental activism,
Yes.
and then turned around and actually flew right back.
I love this topic.
Dana, dark money essentially means you put money into something, they go and lobby for political change, but you can't go back and see who funded them.
Right. Right, and it happens on both sides.
Yeah.
But I think what you're saying here is that Leonardo DiCaprio,
is great.
That's his alter ego. Yes. That Leonardo DiCaprio is behind the collusion and price gouging of increasing gas prices on Americans. I mean, it's incredible what has happened, because what do you think happens when you sue all the oil companies with frivolous lawsuits? They're going to pass those costs on somewhere. There is no group, no activist group that is more pious and ridiculous than these people. They are such hypocrites, and the tone of their debate.
Climate change people or Hollywood?
Climate change people.
Yeah, it's a church.
Well, it's the same. It's the
same.
same. They're the same. One and the same. That they basically, if you disagree, or if you have another opinion, then you're a climate denier. It literally never ends. And it's the one debate where the activists are not getting any new converts.
Yeah.
Because of the tone of the debate.
Greg, the hypocrisy is pretty obvious. I mean, every year it seems like there's a new story about Leo flying around the world or being on a yacht. He's the most vocal, so he's the easiest to criticize. But just compare him to someone, say, like Elon Musk, right? Which one of those two men have done more to get us away from fossil fuels? One attacks oil companies. The other one attacks vigorously the idea of innovation.
I'm obviously Musk. But I think, you're looking at it, we see it as a hypocrisy when, in fact, one is meant to cancel out the other. So Leo realized that this is the best game in town to let you do whatever you want outside of your own political issues. His name is out of gossip columns, the news. He was untouched by Me Too or cancel culture, while lesser members of his P-word posse. Do you remember that? Do you remember? Are you guys old enough? He would go around with a bunch of Hollywood guys, and they were called the P-word posse. Do whatever they wanted. This was pre-Me Too. You don't hear about anything about him because he's cloaked his past and his sins in green activism, so no one dare question anything else. It's a smart move on his part.
Judge, they're essentially funding a law firm to go out and lobby. Maybe the law firm is just raking in money and not getting much done. What is their effort here really about? Suing oil companies?
Yeah, I mean, they can get any one of a number of people to be a plaintiff in some kind of class action lawsuit or any other kind of lawsuit. Plus, they're paying themselves for the hours that they're putting into the lawsuit. But I think a point that Dana made is a very good point, and that is that the activists are not getting any more popular. And I remember that, I don't know, where was it? Was it in Italy, Greg, when people were on the road?
Yeah.
Or people were going into where Starbucks and gluing their hands down. Americans aren't saying, gee, I want to be one of them. But, it just is their own lunacy that they think they're protected. And Leonardo DiCaprio is protected because he's an actor. And this is all theater to him. It's nothing but theater. He's funneling this money so that they can sue the oil and the gas companies while he flies around on his jet. It's really disgusting. But I think that he makes himself saleable to the theater and to the Hollywood elite.
Richard, there's a difference between the people that make themselves celebrities for this and then the issue and the people that fight for it. There's conservative groups who want to see the planet taken care of. I'm a hunter and a fisher. I see a lot of things that I wish we were more conscientious about, where we ruin wetlands and ruin places to hunt because we're irresponsible sometimes. But that is such a different issue than climate change. There's an AP poll that shows that only about 35% of Americans even care about this issue or consider it to be serious, and that's down from 44% in 2019. So Is it because Biden just passed a big Green New Deal that people don't care anymore? Do they think the problem's solved?
Well, if it wasn't the Green New Deal. But there's a couple points here. I think, one, if we're going to have a debate about dark money, and I think Dana's right, it happens on both sides. I think that's what's made our politics so toxic, because you can literally run a commercial that said, paid for by people who pay for ads, and it could go all across. And so if we're going to have that conversation, then we need to revisit the impact that Citizens United has had on our politics and take dark money out of our politics, thing one. I think thing two, when it comes to Leonardo DiCaprio, I think we have to acknowledge that one plane ride is not going to be the tipping point on whether or not the climate, spontaneously combusts. But we have to acknowledge, to your point, what's happening to our wetlands, what's happening with extreme weather. Just a couple weeks ago, we saw the horrific floods in Kentucky. And while we covered it for 1 day or 2 days, the people who are living in Kentucky are still dealing with the remnants of that flood. So there's real impacts that we as a nation have to deal with. But I agree with Dana, you're not going to get there by gluing yourself to a Starbucks counter. You have to meet people where they are and then take them where you need them to go.
Over the 100 years,
The judge said the Starbucks
counter. But I would remind everybody, remember that guy who was just trying to get to work and in the truck, and the climate activist?
Yes.
And he lost his job because he didn't make it for his parole officer?
Fatalities related to extreme weather have declined something like 96% over the century.
But it's not about the fatalities, but the fact that people have to live through this.
No, it is about fatalities.
So I have to tease.
That's how you measure things.
But I want to point out one thing.
What would you measure it by?
It's both. It's both the fatality and the fact that people are living in Kentucky in trailers because of extreme weather conditions.
There are actually people that move to areas that create higher risk.
So here's, real quick, I have to move to tease this, but I want to correct this one thing, because you don't tell the whole story. Climate change people never tell the whole story.
Right.
It floods in places because we spent 100 years damming it and pushing the water away from where it should naturally go. That's why the Mississippi Delta is a complete mess. Not because of rising seawater, but because we don't let the water go where it's supposed to anymore, because we want to farm here and build a business there.
Sandy,
We chose that.